Hey there, picture this. You're at a carnival and the barker hollers about a magic Ferris wheel that'll whisk you to the stars, make you rich, and serve cotton candy that never runs out. You buy the ticket, hop on, and it creaks to a halt halfway up, leaving you dangling with a view of the parking lot. Kind of feels like Donald Trump's big pitch for a golden age economy back in 2024, right? He painted this picture of America zooming ahead like a rocket ship, but here we are in late 2025, scratching our heads and wondering where the fireworks went.
Let's break it down like we're chatting over coffee. I'm not here to bash or cheerlead, just to unpack it step by step with a little fun thrown in, so even if you're juggling homework or a first job, it clicks. First off, what did Trump promise? During his campaign, he talked a big game about slashing taxes for everyone, not just the mega rich, and using tariffs like a superhero shield to bring jobs flooding back to America.
He said we'd cut energy prices in half, making gas and electricity super cheap, and that the economy would boom so hard we'd all be tired of winning. He vowed to tackle the national debt, overhaul trade deals, and kick off this era where America first meant pockets full for regular folks. Sounded epic, like turning the country into one giant prosperity party.
Enter our buddy Bob. Let's say Bob's your average American. Works at a manufacturing plant in Ohio, has a family, drives a pickup that's seen better days. Bob heard those promises and thought, sweet, lower taxes mean more cash for my kids' braces, and those tariffs will protect my job from cheap imports. He voted with stars in his eyes, imagining factories popping up like dandelions and paychecks getting fatter.
Fast forward to now, December 2025. Bob's checking his bank account, and it's not exactly glittering. The unemployment rate just hit 4.6% in November, the highest in 4 years. That's up from 4.4% a couple months back, and it's got folks whispering about a recession sneaking up like that one relative who overstays at holidays. Job growth? It bounced a bit with 64,000 new spots added last month, which beat some gloomy predictions, but it's after a dip in October, and overall things feel sluggish. Private sector's chugging along okay, but federal jobs are vanishing, down by thousands since Trump took office, partly from his push to trim government fat.
Bob's plant? It's humming, but not roaring. Those tariffs Trump slapped on imports, meant to punish countries like China and boost U.S. makers, have jacked up prices on everything from steel to sneakers. It's like Bob's company has to pay more for parts, so they pass it on, and suddenly Bob's grocery bill is higher, even though his wage isn't keeping up. Trump promised tariffs would make us rich by forcing companies home, but in reality, they're acting like a sneaky tax on all of us. Economists are saying they've slowed GDP growth and poked inflation a bit, making everyday stuff cost more.
Speaking of inflation, that's one area where things aren't as fiery as before. It cooled to 2.7% annually in November, down from 3%, which is a relief after the wild spikes a few years back. Prices rose just 0.2% over the last couple months, so it's not skyrocketing like under the early Biden days. But Bob still feels the pinch. Food and energy aren't dropping fast enough, and with holiday shopping, his wallet's thinner. Trump talked about slashing energy costs by half, and yeah, gas prices are at their cheapest December levels in 4 years, which is a win for road trips. But low oil prices are hurting U.S. producers too, and tariffs are offsetting some of that savings by bumping up other costs. It's like giving with one hand and taking with the other.
Now, the big elephant in the room, that national debt. Trump promised to shrink the deficit, but holy moly, it's exploded to about $38 trillion. Interest payments alone are hitting $1 trillion a year, which is like paying rent on a mansion you can't afford while the roof leaks. Debt's now 100% of GDP, meaning we owe as much as the whole economy produces in a year. Trump's team says policies will slow spending eventually, but so far it's climbing faster than ever outside pandemic times. Bob wonders, who's going to pay this bill? My kids?
And the stock market? It's up 13% since Trump started, which is great if you're invested like the big shots. But Bitcoin's down 17%, and overall, Trump's approval on the economy is scraping a low 36% in polls. People like Bob aren't feeling the golden part yet. GDP grew strong at 3.8% in Q2, but forecasts say it'll slow to around 2% for the year and dip further in 2026. Consumer spending's holding up, but it's wobbly, especially with holiday sales looking meh.
Why the gap between promise and reality? Well, think of the economy like a giant potluck dinner. Trump's adding bold spices, tariffs to protect jobs, immigration crackdowns to prioritize American workers, tax cuts to juice spending. But those spices are clashing. Mass deportations? They're reducing the workforce in farms and construction, hurting growth and pushing wages up in weird ways. Tariffs are raising costs for businesses, slowing the boom he wanted. Plus, global stuff, like lingering supply chain hiccups and tech shifts, aren't helping. It's not all doom. The AI boom and some tech sectors are keeping things afloat, acting like that one reliable dish everyone loves. Bob's starting to grumble at family dinners. He says, Trump said we'd be swimming in jobs, but my hours got cut and everything costs more. On social media, folks are split. Some say it's just a bumpy start like Trump warned and the real wins are coming. Others are yelling about broken promises, calling it a grift. Trump's team points to resilient growth amid changes, but critics say it's rigged for the rich while regular folks foot the bill. So, is the golden economy lost in transit or just delayed? Let's dig into the tariffs a bit more. Bob's company needs raw materials like steel or aluminum to build stuff. Those tariffs mean importers pay more to bring in foreign goods. But guess who ends up footing most of the bill? Not the foreign countries, like Trump likes to say. Nope, studies show American companies and folks like Bob eat about 80–90% of the cost. It's passed down the line. Higher prices for parts, higher prices for products, and suddenly Bob's paying more for everything from his truck's new tires to the appliances at home. And it's not just little things, big ones too. Take cars. Tariffs on imported parts mean new vehicles cost thousands more. Or electronics. Your phone or laptop? Yeah, pricier. Economists crunching the numbers say these tariffs have acted like a massive tax hike on households, something like $1,300 extra per year for the average family. Bob feels it every time he fills up the grocery cart or fixes something around the house.
But wait, isn't this supposed to bring jobs back? That's the pitch. Protect American workers. Force companies to make stuff here. In some spots, yeah, there's been a bump in manufacturing, like steel mills hiring a bit more. But overall, manufacturing jobs haven't exploded. In fact, they've been flat or down in many months this year. Why? Because when costs go up, companies don't just magically build new factories overnight. They cut back, automate, or even lay off to save money. And those higher prices slow down spending. People buy less, so demand drops, and that hurts jobs too. Bob's buddy at a factory in Pennsylvania? His plant delayed expansion because the math didn't add up with pricier materials. Instead of hiring, they're holding tight. And globally, other countries hit back with their own tariffs on U.S. stuff, like soybeans or whiskey, which hurts farmers and exporters. It's like a food fight where everyone ends up messy. Now, immigration crackdowns, another big promise to put Americans first. Less undocumented workers means prioritizing U.S. citizens for jobs, right? In theory, sure, but in practice, those workers fill key spots in construction, agriculture, and services, jobs that keep things running cheap. Deportations ramped up, and suddenly there's fewer hands picking crops or building houses.
result? Food prices climb because harvests rot or labor costs soar. Construction slows, housing gets even more expensive. It's like removing half the players from a team and expecting a win. The game just gets harder.
Bob sees it in his community. Local farms struggling to find pickers, so veggies cost more at the store. Builders delaying projects because crews are short. Wages in those sectors might tick up a bit for the folks who stay, but overall growth takes a hit. Forecasts say this combo of tariffs and tighter immigration shaved off chunks of GDP, maybe 0.5 to 1% or more this year alone. That's money not circulating, jobs not created.
And the debt? Oh boy. Trump said he'd tackle it, eliminate deficits maybe, but it's ballooned to around $38.4 trillion. Interest payments closing in on $1 trillion a year. That's more than we spend on defense. It's like maxing out credit cards to throw a party, then wondering why the bills are crushing you. Tax cuts helped some folks and businesses, juicing spending short term, but without matching cuts elsewhere, it's added fuel to the fire.
The Fed's in a pickle too. They cut rates a few times to keep things humming, but with tariffs poking inflation and jobs slowing, they're pausing. Mortgages aren't dropping fast. Borrowing stays pricey. Stocks? They've been wild. Up big early on AI hype and optimism, but dipping when reality bites. Bitcoin's down. Confidence is shaky.
Bob's not alone in feeling whiplash. Polls show Trump's approval on the economy hovering in the mid-30s, way down from promises of everyone tired of winning. Folks split. Some say it's early, policies need time. Others call it broken promises, with regular people paying for tariffs while big companies lobby exemptions.
Immigration's tightened the labor market in weird ways. Unemployment up to 4.6%, highest in years, partly from fewer workers overall. Job ads averaged way down, like 55,000 a month versus hundreds of thousands before. October was a mess with losses. November barely recovered. And that government shutdown, delayed data, messed up numbers, added uncertainty like salt in the wound. Inflation cooled a tad to 2.7% in November. Surprise, lower than expected. Maybe some shutdown weirdness in data, but core stuff still sticky, and tariffs keep pushing up costs on imports. Food, energy, shelter, not plunging like promised. Holiday spending held up okay, but folks cutting back, more debt, less joy. So, in conclusion, the golden economy Trump promised feels more like a bumpy road trip right now. Big ideas clashing with real-world friction. Tariffs and immigration shifts aim to protect and boost America, but they've raised costs, slowed growth, and left many like Bob waiting for the payoff. There are bright spots, energy cheaper in spots, some sectors resilient, AI buzzing, but overall, GDP's chugging around 2%, jobs sluggish, debt soaring, and everyday prices still pinching. The takeaway? Economies are messy beasts, no quick fixes, and bold moves come with trade-offs that hit regular folks hardest. It's not all doom. Adjustments might smooth things in 2026 if tweaks happen. But for now, that golden shine, still searching for it.
If you want me to make other videos explaining these topics, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.